Libyan visa. Official.
Pull over for inspection.
Sorry, sir, I can't do that.
Pull over for inspection!
How willing are you to die for your country? I'm ready to go right here, right now.
Hey, what's up guys? Alright, so sorry it's been a couple of weeks since the last video I posted. I have been sick the last 2 weeks, it's been kicking my ass. Now 13 Hours is directed by Michael Bay, and in the recent couple of years Michael Bay's been getting a lot of bad press for, you know, bringing us wonderful pieces of shit like this.
It's a bad idea, but I'm all about bad ideas.
And this.
You're here to help me get my girlfriend.
And this. He pretty much ruined everything about the Transformers. A lot of people forget that he's a guy who brought us movies like The Rock with Nicolas Cage and Sean Connery, and Bad Boys 2. 13 Hours is a story that Michael Bay brought us of the 2012 Benghazi attacks, where you had an American ambassador who was essentially murdered. It's no secret that there's been a lot of bad things going on in that part of the world for the last several decades, if not longer, probably the last several hundred years. And we seem to be right smack in the middle of it. 13 Hours is an interesting movie because it kind of brings back the good Michael Bay. It's surprisingly, 13 Hours is a really cool film. It's a really cool movie. I myself love military movies. I kind of remember the first military movies that I watched as a kid, Flight of the Intruder, and then going forward, you know, movies like Saving Private Ryan, Black Hawk Down. These are really iconic films. I don't know if it's just me. I like war movies. I like military movies. We went to go see 13 Hours, and I think it's in its third or second week of release. Probably its third week of release, and the theater was empty. There was like one other couple in the theater and us, and that was pretty much it. I highly recommend it. It's a very interesting and entertaining movie. You can see a lot of the things about Michael Bay's director style in this movie, but done very well. You know, the panning shots, the low angle, you know, camera frames that he shows, a little bit of the slow motion. Throughout the entire movie, you see a lot of light at night, and you see a lot of things lit up. It's very well shot, very well filmed. The dialogue is interesting. The action sequences are very tense. There are certain moments throughout 13 Hours where you're just like, this is kind of starting to get a little boring. Can we get back to the guns and the chasing and all the more interesting stuff that we came here to see? 13 Hours kind of feels like a mix between Black Hawk Down and Bad Boys 2.
Draw fire! When this asshole stops to reload, cover me! Go! Somebody! Oh, what are you doing, man? That's my bad.
That's what I kept thinking every time when there was a moment of action, if there was a sequence in here that I thought, man, this is really like Bad Boys 2. And the car chases, or God, this looks so much like Black Hawk Down.
I got your position, I got the target, we're inbound hot.
Some of the ways that they portray, you know, former U.S. Marines, former U.S. Navy SEALs, now under contract as CIA, and their mission basically is to protect these embassies. And it's a team of 6 or 7 former military who are now civilian contractors, but they bring with them their entire, you know, military background and experience in protecting people, engaging in large conflicts. 2 of the main characters in this movie, played by John Kraskin. You remember him? Yeah, he plays a former Navy SEAL in this movie, and he's a contractor, a seasoned contractor. This is nothing new to him. For the CIA, protecting embassies, protecting VIPs. He's joined by another guy who's a former team member, who's played by James Dale. Now, you've seen him in a lot of other movies where he's kind of a nerdy little guy. You know, you'd never think of him as a SEAL or a former military operator. And this movie, it shows all these very iconic and well-known actors playing these real tough, badass, you know, former military, you know, Marines, Delta, Army Rangers, and Navy SEALs, and now they're all under contract for the CIA. Like I said again, this is very pleasantly surprised by this movie, watching Michael Bay kind of return to what he does best, which is honoring I guess you could say honoring American military. It's no secret that Michael Bay really respects the U.S. military. You know, he's always paying homage. If this guy was a SEAL, would be talking like this? What are the right types of terminology? And all these other branches of the armed forces and special ops community, you know, he does a really good job at making sure that those things are well portrayed, accurate, and as accurate as can be. I have a lot of friends that are military, and they look at movies that portray certain conflicts and certain types and branches of the military, and they always say, "Oh, that's bullshit. Oh, they would never do that," or "That's not how you form up," or "That's not how you do this," or that's a U.S. Navy saying, or "That's something they say in the Air Force. That's not a Marine type of terminology." Michael Bay, I think, really does a good job with these types of movies to tell a story that's based off of a true event, historically accurate or inaccurate as it may be. It's entertaining to watch. I just want to watch the movie again. I love military movies, and I love movies about conflicts and war. I don't know why. I'm not a violent person. I just like to watch military movies and stuff. It's good. So anyways, guys, if you've seen 13 Hours, if you haven't seen it, go see it. It's a really cool thing to go watch in the theater. If you're into the military, if you're into the armed forces, if you're a member of the armed forces, I think that this would be something that you would enjoy watching. It would, I don't want to say it panders to the armed forces, that's not the right word, but it's definitely something that might be up your alley. If you're a special ops, operator, and you go and see this movie, you might get a kick out of it. You might laugh your ass off. Buying this on Blu-ray when it comes out, I hope that there's some interesting special features and behind the scenes, how he made this movie. It doesn't really go into a whole lot of the politics of the time. You didn't really hear the story. I had no idea that in this movie they portray that the CIA is directly involved and that they have another embassy just next to the American embassy, which was supposed to be some sort of big secret. In the movie, they go through all of this. There are some moments in it that are a little boring. There's some moments in it where it doesn't really flow very well as a film. It seems like they had cut a scene here or there and it didn't quite line up in the editing process. So you're just like, what just happened? Did I just miss something? It's one of those things you really got to be keen into and paying attention to. Like, try to portray the politics and the scenarios and the exposition. It gets a little dry. It gets a little mismatched and out of order and a little boring. But other than that, the action is great. The cinematography is beautiful. It's not just a bunch of explosions and gun battles. It's a good time. Yeah, if you haven't seen 13 Hours, I definitely go recommend you watch in the theater. It's a great time. It's not going to win an Oscar for Best Picture. It's not on the level of American Sniper in terms of storytelling. It's a Michael Bay movie. It looks and feels like a Michael Bay movie, but it is a good Michael Bay movie. It's great action.
If you do not get here soon, we are all gonna die.
None of you have to go. But we are the only help they have.
Alright, well, guys, we'll see you at the next one. I have no idea what I'm going to see next. Eventually, we'll get to Deadpool. Eventually, we'll get to Batman vs. Superman and all the other awesome movies coming out this year. Alright, thanks a lot, guys. Catch you at the next one.